Welcome back, guys, to Pirate Talk Radio. This is episode 124, and the time has come. It is here. The official launch of season 11 is on the waves, and we finally, after many seasons, got a 3-month season. You know, the basically industry standard for how long a season should be. Based on, player interest and things like that. We finally got a 3-month season in season 10. And now we're on to season 11. And though I know there's, I guess I will say, some mixed reviews, not playing season 11 as it just came out. So I don't necessarily think a lot of people, a lot of people have probably played it by now. I have not. But that comes when I've got time this weekend. But, just based on the deep dive, just based on the update trailer and stuff like that, lots of speculation from folks on what season 11 brings to them. Lots of speculation on if it's going to be good or bad. Again, it's the gaming industry, right? Lots of us content creators, though we obviously talk about and we cover the game when it is out and live and things are going, speculation also plays a big part. If you've listened to this show for a very long time, I talk about things that I want to see. I do speculate, but in general, I'm talking about things that I would like to see and what I think will bring value and longevity to the game. There's a lot of folks out there. The majority of folks out there, they see something, they immediately jump to conclusions, and they say if it's going to be good or bad. And I saw that with season 11 when they released the preview and all that stuff. Immediately, people jumped into this, and they had very polarizing opinions on it. And I want to dive into season 11. I want to look at those videos, including the deep dive. And I kind of want to talk about what my thoughts are on season 11. I'm actually quite excited for it. Now, if you're someone who requires every season to have some new story, some new content, some new thing to go out and do, season 11 is not going to be very exciting to you, but I'm going to tell you why it should be exciting to you. Namely, because it makes your play sessions better, but two, the longevity of this game. If you enjoy this game any amount, you want the game to last. You don't want the game to just disappear one day and all the hours that you put in with your friends or yourself or whatever are just up in smoke. I've been in many games where I've sunk hundreds, if not thousands of hours into a game, and then one day it's just gone because it's just not working out for the business side of that. And I know, though Sea of Thieves is a roller coaster of player base, it's a game that a lot of people love. And it's a game that a lot of people want to succeed, and a lot of people put time and effort into and don't want just one day to go poof, it's gone. So I season 11 sets Rare up to do this, and sets Rare up very well to do some cool new things. Now, they have to execute, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Before we get into season 11, I teased on the last episode that we would take one last walk through memory lane of 2024, because I threw out there that if you wanted to, you could join the Pirate Talk Radio Discord, and you could say, these are some things that I remember in 2023. What are your thoughts on them, right? And I picked out from the list. Let me just, get to the notes here. I picked out 3 things, and I picked out one of them because I forgot about it. And I picked out the other 2 because I just have some things to say about it. So let's take one more look at 2023, which was season 9 and season 10. They were bad. And close off that last year in Sea of Thieves with this one last walk through memory lane. So the Hoarder's Hunt. Now, this is the one I picked because I completely forgot about it. If you remember, if you were listening at the time, or you can go back and listen to the episodes around the Hoarder's Hunt, you will know that I was very excited, but also very critical of the Hoarder's Hunt. I think Hoarder's Hunt was a very cool concept. I think it was something that a group of players thoroughly enjoyed. I think the hype up to it got a lot of players excited until they actually got into doing it and then realized this is not for me. The Hoarder's Hunt in general was designed for the 1%. They always talk about how they got rid of the arena because, well, it was like 1%, 2% of players actually playing it. And it was silly to have a separate dev team just for that. Now, the Hoarder's Hunt is a little different, right? The mysteries and that, it's a little different because you don't need an entire dev team to come up with that because a lot of it's done on social media. A lot of it was done on the internet. It wasn't done in game. There were parts of it that were done in game, but in general, a lot of it was done outside of the game, which if you've listened to this show for any amount of time, you know I have an issue with games who do and this is not an offensive phrase, the transmedia approach of providing content to your game. Transmedia means it goes beyond the game. It might be a TV show. It might be a movie. It might be books. It might be an Easter egg hunt on Twitter and Reddit and Facebook and all these social media platforms. That it's the reach of the game outside the actual game to get those clicks, to get those dollars, to get whatever you're looking for out of it. It's to increase the reach of your game. And on a business side, that makes complete sense because for some god-awful reason, this world is obsessed with social media. I am, as I said in the last episode, I have removed Facebook. I have removed Reddit. I have removed Twitter. I've removed all this stuff from my phone because quite frankly, I think it's a waste of time. And yeah, there's a lot of good information on there. There's a lot of, the majority of it's bad information, just people bitching. But it's just, it consumes so much of people's time. And I just, for me, where I am in my life, I just don't understand it anymore. And I can't say that I never took part in the social media piece. I can't say that I haven't taken part in transmedia. Because if you look right back here on my shelf, my Sea of Thieves shelf, I have the books, right? The only book that I haven't been able to get my hands on is the original art book because, it was limited and I wasn't playing the game at the time. Hopefully I check all bookstores, I check garage sales, I check everything to get my hands on one of those books. One day I might actually get my hands on a book, but I don't right now. But I have their books. I've got, extra merch that they've put out, the shaker cups, and, I've bought stuff from their store and things like that. I've read their books. I've followed them on social media. I've engaged on social media. Before my Sea of Thieves time, before my podcasting days, I used to help run social media accounts for big companies, and namely Best Buy. And so it's one of those things that, yeah, social media touched my life in a very, very big way in my career and in my personal life. But as I've grown older, and you can say crotchety if you want, I just feel that my time is more valuable than sitting there staring at my phone, scrolling endlessly through posts and tweets, when I would say 90%, no matter how many things you block, no matter how many things you hide, no matter how many things you tell the platform I don't want to see, 90% of the stuff that I'm scrolling past is stuff that I don't care about. It's stuff that is negative. It's advertising and stuff like that. And so for me, I've removed social media from my phone completely. There is no social media anymore on my phone. And I think I'm going to keep it that way for the foreseeable future. Now, if I want to sit down because I do the podcast and I need to be able to see what the vibe check is, I need to be able to see what folks are saying. Sure, I'm going to pop on to Twitter or X if you want. I'm still going to call it Twitter. And Reddit and get the pulse on the community. I'm going to see what Mike Chapman has to say and Shelly has to say and Andy has to say and Joe Neat has to say. I'm going to look and see because that's good information for the podcast. But when it's not at my fingertips every waking moment of the day, I feel better. I feel mentally better, and more so, I'm unplugged where I don't give a shit about someone bitching about a burnt pepperoni on their pizza and how that's going to ruin their entire lives. It's just dumb. So if you still use social media greatly, more power to you. But for me, I've pulled myself completely away from social media on my mobile device. I will use it when I'm at home in front of my computer for the very limited time it takes to research whatever I'm working on at the time. So for me, the Hoarder's Hunt was a cool concept. For me, the Hoarder's Hunt was interesting. But for me, the Hoarder's Hunt was a complete failure and a waste of time. I got all the bits to the Hoarder's Hunt done. Basically, what I did was I waited until it was solved, and then I went and did it based on, the wiki sites and the walkthrough sites once it was solved. Because, quite frankly, and I talked to people who actually were very excited about it and took great deals of their time, hours of their day, and hours of their week in order to try to be that very first person to solve it, or that very first group to solve it. I talked to those people. And for them, it was a lot of fun. For them, it was a lot of enjoyable. Now, what most of them will say is it took a long time. There wasn't a lot of guidance, and that was kind of the objective, right? Rare didn't want this thing to be solved overnight, and it did take a little bit of time. But it was enormous amount of time, enormous amount of brain power. And it was just an enormous effort. And for me, I viewed that as a waste of time. I viewed that as Rare. You put something cool in here. You spent time, you spent dev hours, you spent company dollars to put something cool in here, but it only targeted a very small percentage of your player base. And in general, the larger percentage of player base who jumped in real quick was like, oh my God, this sucks. So I think the Hoarder's Hunt as a concept was cool. I think they need to iterate on that, which is why I don't think we've seen a mystery like that since then, right? We were supposed to get mysteries and adventures on a cadence. We haven't seen an adventure for a while. We definitely haven't seen a mystery for a while. And I think it's because they're really trying to think about how, they said in the very beginning when they started these that it was an iterative process, which means they're going to make mistakes. They're going to throw something out there that they think is good. They're going to see how the players interact with it. They're then going to take player feedback wherever it is, and then they're going to adjust the next one. And in general, I think they've done a good job about that with adventures. And I think they need to do the same thing going forward with adventures, and they need to do the same thing with the mystery system. I don't think the mystery system should be just scrapped. I think there's a lot of good things that could come out of that. I just think they need to tailor it to a little bit bigger of the player base than the 1%. And I think they need to, for God's sakes, keep it in the game, or at least the majority of it in the game. Hoarder's Hunt was like a drop in a gallon bucket in the game. There was very little actually happening in the game. It was mostly outside the game with these ways to, decipher codes and stuff like that. Google Maps and things. It was just, it was annoying to me. It was bad to me. I know it was bad to a lot of people, but yes, there were some people who enjoyed it. So I think they need to continue to iterate on those. I don't think at this point we've got enough data points and enough things that they've tried to say, mysteries just need to be scrapped. I definitely don't think adventures need to be scrapped. In fact, I think they need to be working harder to get a better cadence of mysteries adventures out there. It was driving the story forward. It was allowing us to learn more about characters that were in the shadows, or characters that we didn't know a whole lot about. Beloved characters like Briggsy and Wanda, and the Brotherhood and things like that. Some of it, some of the things which we haven't seen since, Pirates of the Caribbean. And it was just really nice to get some of these story arcs and these lore pieces going. And like I said, we haven't seen an adventure, since before Monkey Island. So I really think they need to get back on a cadence. You've heard me say this so many times on this show. Their main issue is consistency and quality. That's their two main issues. They put out updates that are not quality tested and are not ready to be out in the wild. And they don't do it on a consistent schedule. They say what their schedule's going to be, and then they never execute it. And it's not just the development side of it, right? I think the developers are amazing people. I think they do great work. I think they're set up to fail by leadership. And I've talked in depth in that on other episodes. But when it comes to consistency, look across the board. Look across the board. Updates, not on a consistent timeline that they've promised. The content as far as adventures, not on a consistent timeline that they promised. Bug fixes, not on a consistent timeline, which they promise. Look at simple thing is their official Sea of Thieves podcast. How many times have they came on and said, this is our schedule, and they have never once stuck to it? This is what I'm talking about. There is a clear issue at Rare Studios with consistency. There isn't any. It's a wild west out there as far as a schedule. They announce that they're going to do some sort of schedule, and then by at least twice, the second iteration of that schedule, second episode of the podcast, whatever, it is now gone on hiatus for the foreseeable future. The dev updates and things like that, they're a little bit more consistent on that. But again, consistency. I keep saying they need to do weekly resets like World of Warcraft and like so many MMOs and live service games, Destiny and things like that. Weekly resets to refresh those servers, refresh that RAM and all the resources on those servers to keep them healthy. They still haven't done that. Consistency. I can forgo a little bit of quality issues as long as you're consistent. And when you say you're going to do something, do it, and do it on time. Don't sit here and tell me you're going to do something and then turn around and you're late. You're late again. I'm looking at you, season 9. Don't do that. I'm looking at you, official Sea of Thieves podcast. Don't do that. And so for me, the Hoarder's Hunt was just another example of just being out of touch and not having a cool concept, but not understanding how to quality execute that for the player base that you have. And then furthermore, with the adventures, not being able to stick to the timetable that you promised and not being able to keep that driving forward. The adventure was supposed to drive the story forward, and it did that when they came out. And then they just stopped. And sure, there's other things they're working on, but it's like, if you say that this is going to happen, boom, 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 boom. I believe the original announcement, without looking back, was the adventure was supposed to start at the beginning of the season, and then part 2 was supposed to be, a couple months in, or like a month in, and then the last one was the last month of the season. So you had some sort of new story content throughout the season. I don't think they might have executed on that once or maybe twice, but it's like, you do it for a short amount of time, and then all of a sudden we're off to the races doing something else, and what you promised and the consistency, it's just not there. And I think the mystery was supposed to last over the whole season or take up 2 seasons. I don't remember what the cadence was, but it's not consistent. So the Hoarder's Hunt for me, cool concept, completely forgot it happened, just because I wasn't really engaged in it. And didn't really care that much because it was god awful. The next thing that I do know happened and that I did talk about is Rare is becoming more open. I won't say they're becoming more open around what is in their updates because, quite frankly, they've always been secret. They like to be secret. There is a certain amount of that I respect and like, and then there's a certain amount of that I'm like, come on, just freaking open up and talk about what you're doing. Explain to the player base why things are the way they are. What are you doing to fix it, and when is it going to be fixed? I think they're starting to get there. I don't know if they'll ever commit to things, hey, this is going to be a fix by this date, because they've proven over almost 6 years that they can't hit dates to save their lives. So I don't think they're going to make the mistake of setting a date on something that they know they're probably going to miss, because that's their MO. But what I appreciate, especially as we move through the arguably one of the worst seasons for players that we've ever seen, season 9, Rare became more and more open about issues the game is facing, from server stability issues to hit registration to cheating, to bugs returning, to things they're looking at that are like exploit style stuff. And they started to become more open talking about things that they're looking at. I appreciate that. Tell us players why things are getting delayed by saying, hey, we're looking at this. Hey, we're looking at that. Don't leave us in the dark when it comes to bugs and exploits that have been around for years, maybe not years, maybe months, maybe weeks. Tell us about the bugs and things that you've thought were fixed, but now are back again, and why. Like, start to be a little bit more open. I'm not asking you to throw back the curtains and throw your dirty laundry outside on why you can't execute on these things. I'm not saying you have to go that far, but starting to be a little bit more open on the game and why it's in the state that it is and what they're doing to fix it, and maybe a general timeline. You don't have to give us specifics because, someone like me is going to point fingers and say, hey, you didn't hit that date at this time that you promised, because that's what I do. Because if you say something, I expect you to do it. Especially if you put a date on it. Now I'm really going to hold you to that. So I'm not saying that. I don't think that's good for them. They know their weaknesses. I'm sure they know the weaknesses that I've already spoke about. But being more open has been really nice, especially in those short little monthly or those little dev updates that they have in Sea of Thieves news, where, for a whole section of it is someone basically sitting down and saying, look, here are the issues. Here's what we're running into. We know it's a problem for you and we're working on it. Here are some issues that we also know that you've complained about, that they're valid issues that we want to get addressed, and we're going to be working on them. Having that open dialogue is so much nicer than everything just shrouded and we don't know what is going on. We don't know if Rare is blind to cheating. We don't know if Rare is blind to the hit reg issues, blind to this and that, which is what we've had for 5 years. We've been blind to what their focus is. If you look at the patch notes, I don't know if you can go back in time and look at patch notes, hit registration, bucket registration, server stability, those things were on the known issues list all the way at the bottom of the patch notes for years. I'm not talking weeks. I'm not talking seasons. I'm not talking patches. For years, the same text was at the bottom of the patch notes. And it was like, well, it's great that you've typed this in here, and it's great that you copy and pasted, or it's great that you use the exact same patch notes as you did last time, and you just deleted the top and you left the bottom. It's like in the footer of a Word note, right? It doesn't change. Whatever you put in the body doesn't change the footer, and that's kind of what those known issues are. Now that they're at least talking about it, at least me as a player. Now, are they getting fixed? Not really. But at least me as a player, you're verbally, with a human face, telling me that's an issue. And you're reminding me frequently that it's something you're working on. Now, eventually, I'm still going to get irritated that it's not resolved yet, especially with how long you've had to resolve these issues. But at least with a human being open, it helps a little bit. It helps that sting a little bit. I'm not saying it helps a lot, but it helps a little bit than having to see those patch notes each and every week and seeing no fixes in there for the things that you were, as the player, focused on, and seeing that exact same footer each and every time talking about hit reg and server stability. So I appreciate that openness. And finally, the last thing, I have, again, a mixed opinion on this one, and that is Monkey Island. Obviously, Monkey Island was a huge passion project of Mike Chapman. He loves that IP. And again, I think Monkey Island fits really well into the Sea of Thieves world. It's quirky, it's goofy. The point-and-click style adventure that they were able to execute and really give you that Monkey Island feel inside Sea of Thieves, it was brilliant. It was done well. Now, I think they could have done a little bit better in maybe spacing some of this out. I think a little, and again, I think this comes to, there wasn't really a quest book. Sea of Thieves for the longest time has been here's a quest book. It guides you. It basically paints a picture of exactly where you need to go and what you need to do. Monkey Island didn't have that. It was a puzzle that you had to solve, because that's how Monkey Island was in the actual game. But they felt a little long, just because there were times you would get stuck and you would try to figure it out. I thought the story was cute. I thought it was fun. I thought the voice acting of just about everything. There were some misses on the voice acting side, as far as certain things that they said everything would be voice acted, certain things weren't. But in general, I really liked the direction they were going with that style of Tall Tale, and I hope they continue that with future Tall Tales and or adventures. So I think Monkey Island was a success. Now, there are a lot of people out there who had no idea what Monkey Island was. There were a lot of people out there who didn't give a damn about Monkey Island. There were a lot of people who didn't care for that particular thing, and that's fine. You're not going to, as a developer, you're not going to please everyone. It is impossible to please everyone. But I think, in general, from what I've seen and who I've talked to, Monkey Island was a positive for the game. Here's the rub. It was out, took a little bit of time. You only had to do it once if you 100%ed it each time, and you got all the rewards. There were some issues with the rewards, but as far as them actually completing when you got it done. But that's a simple ticket, and it got resolved. Here's my issue. There were certain rewards that were not done when Monkey Island was released. And those rewards were finally added to the game in Season 10. And you've heard me say it time and time again, respect our time. If you made the mistake, own the mistake and make it right by the players. Don't punish the players because of your lack of ability to execute on time. And they did this with Monkey Island. There was a series of rewards, one for each one, and I think one overall general reward, that was not done by the time Monkey Island came out, according to Rare. So they added it in Season 10, and the response from them was, go do Monkey Island again. Why? Was my response. Why do I have to do this again? Now, thankfully, I did have to do mine again, because I hadn't 100%ed Monkey Island yet. So, for me, I had to do it again anyways, so it's not a big deal. But for those players out there who had already 100%ed the adventure, or for the Tall Tale, those rewards should have been just dropped in their chest. They should not have had to go do it again. That is not the way to get your content to stay alive, is forcing players to go back and do it, especially if it's content like that. Voyages, world events, those things are meant to be repeated. Tall Tales, once you get that story, you're only going to repeat it if you really liked that IP and you really liked that story. Like, I've done Shores of Gold multiple times. I've done the Briggsy Tall Tale multiple times. I've done the Pirates of the Caribbean multiple times. Just if I'm in the mood to chill out and do a Tall Tale and have a nice story told to me, I'll do them. But the way Monkey Island was designed, it was for me, I played it through once. I got the gist of it. I knew I had to do it again. I held off on doing it again, and thankfully I did, because if I didn't hold off on doing it again, I wasn't going to do it for those cosmetics. It sure as hell wasn't going to do it for those cosmetics. Because Rare is basically saying, if you 100% of this, I don't respect the time you put into my content, do it again. That was the message. I know it was not portrayed that way. I know it was not intended necessarily that way, but that's what you did. And there were a lot of folks that were upset with that. And I did see Mike Chapman on Twitter responding to those folks. And it's like, look, it was a good content. Go do it again. If you don't want to, don't do it again. Well, guess what, Mike? You made an entire game based on collecting cosmetics. And you basically said, go do my content again, whether you like it or not, to get those cosmetics. There are completionists out there. They have to have everything. I used to be that way. Now I'm not. At least not for Sea of Thieves, because my bank account can't afford the constant Emporium updates. It's just not a thing. So I think Monkey Island was good. I think their approach to adding things to the Tall Tale later, especially if you've already 100%ed it, was bad. And I think they need to avoid that in the future. If someone's already 100%ed something, then just give them the stuff. Don't make them play it again unless you've added something new to the Tall Tale itself, which changes that experience the next time they play it. Season 11. Season 11 is here. And for me, I'm excited so much about Season 11. Almost excited about Season 11 as I'm excited about announcing my patrons every single week because these folks are amazing. These folks are notorious. They're glorious. They support me and my loud mouth and my foul mouth and my streams, and they're just amazing individuals. And if you would like to check out the Patreon and support the content as low as $1 a month, go over to patreon.com/DavrimTV. You can check out all the reward tiers and all the perks that you get. But these folks already know how cool it is. These folks already know that they get the cool Discord thing. These folks already know that some of them get a holiday card from me, personalized and signed each and every year. And it's badass, by the way. It is bad. I have never sent a shitty Christmas card out. Okay, it's badass. These folks are amazing. And I will gladly, happily, and excitedly read off their names each and every episode. Regis Stella, Lane, L. Cute, Geffus, Big Bad Pad, and Skimelt 666. Thank you guys very much for your continued support. I very much appreciate it. Again, if you would like the episode early, if you would like a pretty color on your Discord nameplate and in your own top tier section in the Pirate Talk Radio Discord, if you would like t-shirts or Christmas cards or whatever that is, go over to patreon.com/DavrimTV and check out all the tiers available to you and find the one that meets your budget. If none of them meet your budget, then don't do it. It's fine. It's cool. As long as you listen, that's great. If you go to the YouTube and hit subscribe, like, leave a comment, whatever, all that algorithm stuff, great. If you share this with your friends, people in other Discords, that's awesome. Awesome. Please do that. That also supports me. But these folks go above and beyond by throwing their hard-earned cash at my face. And I appreciate it. Just don't throw coins. Coins hurt, okay? Paper, checks, credit cards, all that's fine. Coins, they hurt. Just lay them gently on my table. Thank you. So why am I excited about Season 11? There's no new content in Season 11. Let's get that out there right now. There's no new content in Season 11. And I put content in air quotes. Because some people, when they think of content, when they hear the word content, what they think of is new stuff that they've never seen before. What they're talking about is new voyages. They're talking about new storyline. They're talking about continuation of storyline that they're looking forward to. They're talking about net new stuff for them to do. And Season 11 doesn't give you that. Yes, there are some new pieces of loot that are trading company specific. Yes. Yeah. But it's not new voyages. It's not new events. It's not a new story arc. It's not a new adventure. It's not a new tall tale, right? And those are the things that people think of when they hear content. So I'll put content in air quotes because I know some folks will immediately rage and some folks will say, there's a lot of new content in Season 11. Then other folks are like, there's nothing in Season 11. It happens all the time. But why is Season 11 exciting to me? Why is it important to me? And more so, why am I ready to start jumping in and investing more time in Sea of Thieves, at least so long as their servers are stable and things are working properly? Because I love Sea of Thieves, but the past year, my playtime in Sea of Thieves has drastically dropped because the quality of the game was not there. So the only thing that I had was playing with friends. You know what I can play with friends on? World of Warcraft. You know what I can play with friends on? Diablo. I had other games that I could play with my friends that I chose to play over Sea of Thieves because it was a better playing experience. I'm hoping Season 11 cleans some of that stuff up. And because I'm honestly excited to jump back in and sail with my friends. I know I've already set up Saturday sales again. So you can go over to Pirate Talk Radio on YouTube. If you subscribe there, live streams will be Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or you can go over to twitch.tv/Davrim. Live streams, same time, we'll be broadcasting to both platforms. You can watch whatever platform is best for you. So long as the internet holds up and I can do that, that should, because it worked great the last two streams. So let's talk about the first thing, which is I kind of grouped some of this stuff in and how I saw it. And the first thing I saw is Playtime and player focus. Now, I even talked about in this episode respecting our time as players. Now, before I dive too deep into that, the biggest time sink in Sea of Thieves is sailing. It's a pirate game. Sailing is important for the feel of the world. Sailing is important for that overall piratey, experience. And it's a sailing experience that you don't get in any other game. And I like that experience. Now, take me out of it. A lot of players, and I will see if I can pull this up while I'm speaking here. I'm going to pull up the Xbox console. And for a lot of players, sailing is the least fun part of Sea of Thieves for a lot of players. Why is that true? It's true because you're not fighting. You're sitting. You're not doing anything, right? You're just sitting, and you can see this when you see crews and their sails are all in every single which way. You're like, oh, wow, they really hate sailing. And so the first big thing that they did here was they made it faster to get started, right? So you now don't have to sail to wherever you want to go to get started. There is still going to be sailing, but to get to where you're starting, your first voyage island, your first world event, whatever that case may be, they have removed sailing from that. So you get your quest, and we'll talk about how you do that in a minute, in a much faster way. You set sail off of your spawn and outpost. You dive. You come up on another server, and boom, you're at the island that you need to start your voyage. Boom, you're at your world event. Now, that's amazing. I like sailing, but that's pretty cool because now I can be more efficient and I can get to actually fighting. I can get to puzzle solving. I can get to digging up chests or catching animals, right? That's the kind of thing that new players, that's a barrier to entry for new players, right? And I'm trying to find the specific achievement to kind of give you a idea of why I think this is important. They're not in any particular order. Okay, so here's the first one. Maiden Voyage. This is from Xbox, so don't get on me and yell at me for the stupid Steam charts. This is Xbox, right? It's off the Xbox. Unto the Horizon for 20 Xbox achievement points. I've completed it. I did this in 2020. Wow, was it really 2020 that I did that? I don't think I did the Maiden Voyage right off the bat, to be honest. I think I went back and did it when someone's like, you can make a lot of money doing the Maiden Voyage. I'm like, oh, okay. 27.84% of gamers. So 27.84 people who have Sea of Thieves installed have actually done the Maiden Voyage. Again, the Maiden Voyage is a garbage tutorial. I think you get a better tutorial now with Safer Seas and things like that. But that's one bit. Let's go to what I would consider a more telling of the players in Sea of Thieves, if I can find it. I believe the achievement is just set sail, but these things are all over the place, and I can't find it. Wild Rose, you fight like a I fight like a merchant. Wow. Wait, which is this one? You were promoted to level 20 with Athena's Fortune. Only 0.3%. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Some of this, when you look at the achievement scores, you really get an idea of how many players are actually, really playing the bits of this game. For example, and again, this is an old legacy one, the Glorious Sea Dog. You purchased the Glorious Sea Dog jacket, hat, hook, gloves. 0.1% of people actually did that. 0.1%. Come on, where is set sail? Set sail. It's literally achievement. That is, you set sail. You dropped your sails and you went somewhere. It's a very low number though. It's a very low number compared to the rest of the stuff. But the point is, if I can't find it, I can't find it. I've got so many achievements, and I don't think there's a way to search. There isn't a way to search. Oh, I can do unlocked achievements, date unlocked. How in the heck? Oh, okay, here it is. Found it. 2019. Yeah, see, I set sail before I did the main voyage. So here you go. Somehow, I don't know how to do this. In 2019, this is great. In 2019, I killed a skeleton while it was crunching on a banana. I did that before I set sail somehow. I don't know how. It's probably just how these all came together. But anyways, the achievement is now bring me that horizon. It is 10 achievement points. And all you have to do is set sail for the first time. Only 64% of Sea of Thieves players have set sail for the first time. Which means that big million whatever number that they show on Sea of Thieves that says this many players, well, just keep in mind, only 64.4% of that number that they showed have actually set sail, which means only 64% of that number are people that have actually done something in the game aside from install it or log in for the first time. So it's crazy to me that's that. And then the other piece is, then you start to look at some of these other percentages and it's like ate a banana. 67% of players, almost 68% of players have ate a banana. So literally players log in, they create a character, they eat a banana and they log off because there's a 3% difference, almost a 4% difference between setting sail and eating a banana, and eating a banana is higher. So there you go. But why is this season 11 important with this? Well, because now instead of walking into the game, and I want to see when I play on Saturday on stream, I want to see how they guide you to your ship, right? Because everything is now accessible on the ship with the quest table. And I hope there's a way that the game is kind of telling you, hey, go to the ship, go to the dock, get on the ship, something like that. Even if it's just one time, go to your ship, sit on your ship, go to the, there's a quest table there. I know the Pirate Lord's supposed to come out, but being able to get a voyage from your ship and not have to go to an outpost each time is awesome, right? Because now you're respecting players' time. Instead of, and again, I love sailing, but the concept of I have to sail, I get a voyage, new player, let's talk new player, because new players don't have a lot of gold, so they can't stockpile a whole bunch of voyages. Get a voyage, set sail, go dig up my 3 chests. They're on my boat. I can't do another voyage. I have to sail back to the outpost. I cash those in. I use that gold to buy another voyage. I go out and I do it again. So now you can not have to go to a trading company and say, I want to spend money on this particular voyage. You go to your ship and you go to your quest table and say, I want to do this voyage. And the voyages are broken down by how long it takes. Now, it doesn't specifically say, from what I saw in the UI, I haven't been in the game yet, but it doesn't specifically say in the UI how long 1 clock is versus 4 clocks is. But there is a indicator on there, a visual indicator of saying, this 1 clock thing is a shorter voyage. This 4 clock thing is a longer voyage, So based on how much time you have to play, you can now select a voyage that best suits your playtime, which I think is great, and it's respecting players' time when it comes to that. The next thing is you dive and you appear at the first island. So it's automatically getting you that kickstart, that kick in the pants to getting to what you want to do. I want to dig up a chest. I want to find a pig. I want to kill a skeleton. It gets you right there in the action and allows you to do stuff. Because if you're a player and you log in, and again, 64% of players who have installed this game have never set sail, right? They might have even got to character creation. I don't know when that timer starts, but only 64% of players have actually got on a boat and dropped their sail. And now they don't, it could be overwhelming to them. They get into the game. There's no real good tutorial. They get into the game. They're looking around. It's a big world. I don't know what to do. I don't know what quests to do. I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this game. Eat a banana, log off because I'm so confused. Or you do kind of explore out a little bit more. You're interested. You find a tent. You get your first voyage, whatever that may be. You go over to your ship. You drop it down. It says, hey, I want you to go to Sailor's Bounty. And for some reason, I spawned at, I don't know. You spawned at Galleon's Grave, and you're looking at where, let's say you got to go to Mermaid's Hideaway. Let's make it worse. You had to go to Mermaid's Hideaway. You spawn at Galleon's Grave. Well, I look at the map and I'm flipping it around as a new player, trying to figure out where I'm supposed to go. And I see that I have to go across the entire world. Okay. This can't be that big of a world. And I drop the sail and the wind is going at me, right? I don't have the wind with me. And then you start getting bored. And you start looking at the time being like, I'm not even 3 blocks in and it's been, this long. I've now lost attention. I log out and I move on. Again, that person actually set sail, so they're one of the 64%. But now you can dive and you can get right there. And instead of losing interest because you're not interested in sailing, you're interested in doing, you now are there and you're doing. Right? So I think that's very good. Now, they have put limitations on the dive where you can't dive and then 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 dive. Right? You've got a cooldown. And you also can't take your loot with you. You get to keep your supply trade. You get to keep your emissary flag, just like in Hourglass battles. But you don't get to dive and dive and dive and dive and dive. Right? If you want the loot, you've got to go trade it in. And there's a cooldown on the diving. And they did that because they don't want people just to cycle through quests and dive and then, oh, I don't like this one, cancel it, dive, and then, oh, I don't like this one, cancel it, and then dive. And they also don't want you to be able to put a voyage up while you're being chased by someone and dive out of the way and keep all your loot. So your loot gets left behind if you want to run that way. But there is a cooldown on the dive, so you can't just constantly be diving around from server to server with this system. So there is a check and balance on that. But this is really geared towards new players and making sure those new players who log in, they do something, right? They don't just eat a banana and log out. They actually now can easily get somewhere. Again, I hope the game guides them to direct them that, you have a voyage, put it on your quest table. Here's how you dive. I hope that pops up for the first time to get the players to the island. So that way they actually dive into the game, pun intended, get started, and maybe we'll stick around for a while. But it's also great for veteran players as we can dive to our island and we can be more efficient in getting stuff done, especially those folks out there. And I know you're out there. I know you're listening. You achievement hunters that want to get all the Xbox achievements done, that want to get all the commendations done in the game. You can now get to your voyages quicker. Now, with that being said, those lovely commendations where say you have to sail this many nautical miles with Gold Hoarder thing up. Well, oh God, I just thought of a bug. When you dive to the island, does it inflate how many miles that you're sailing with a voyage up because you change servers or you win a great distance? Oh, I'm curious now. I'm curious if there's going to be a bug around that and people are going to cheese their way to their mileage goal. Ooh, can't wait to find out. So, and keep in mind when you're doing this, it's going to be faster for you to get there. It's going to be easier for you to get started, but also you're diving to a new server. So if you get on a server and you like seeing what you're seeing, ooh, I got a Fort of Fortune. Ooh, I got a couple Reapers. Ooh, it looks like some people are fighting. Don't pick up a voyage and dive because you now go to a different server. So just be aware of that. You're utilizing the same feature as Hourglass, and you will be going to a different server. So you will lose that lovely PvP. Next is on-demand events, which kind of ties into that voyage, or kind of ties into the playtime and being more player focused and getting players out there and doing stuff. Is this idea of on-demand events? Some folks don't like fleets. Some folks don't like forts. Everyone kind of has their own world event that they like, and when the world event that they don't like is up, they're like, I don't really want to go over there. So now you have the ability, once you unlock this feature, it's locked behind your reputation with the trading companies. So your level with the trading companies. You unlock the ability to now not only dive for voyages, but dive for world events. Again, you will change servers. And how this works is the world event is just not going to, oh, there's a fleet up. I don't want to do the fleet. I want to do a skeletal fort. I'm going to click skeletal fort. I'm going to dive. And then all of a sudden a skeletal fort pops up on the server and you've got a skeletal fort and a fleet up. That's not how this works. You're going to dive beneath the waves and you're going to appear on a server that has a skeletal fort active, but it's not contested. So there's not players already there. I know they mentioned in the deep dive that this was tested thoroughly by the insiders. And when this feature was, you could dive to contested events, what would basically happen is you would be doing the fort and then all of a sudden 3 ships would pop up and then it would just be a royal brawl, which by the way sounds freaking amazing to me, but it wasn't the player experience they were going for. So now it will go to an uncontested fort. And aside from ships that are already on the server, you're not going to have to worry about a ship just all of a sudden coming up from beneath the waves and attacking you immediately. Now, they can still sneak up on you if you're not paying attention, but they're not going to come up through the waves and just be there. You're going to have the ability to see them coming if you are doing your due diligence as a pirate and paying attention to the horizon. But this gives you the ability to target the world events that you want to, and know that you're not going to go there and immediately be in battle. You might have to, fight the people off, but you're not going to immediately pop out and just have to fight another player. Why is this important for PvP? Let me tell you why I think this is important for PvP. Because there are many times where you want a PvP, you'll see a world event up, you'll start heading over there and there's no one there, right? That just happens. You're now going to have a higher chance that if you see a world event up, at least some world events, there's probably going to be a good chance that there's going to be a player there. Or if you're sailing around the islands nearby doing voyages, that a player might come out from under the waves and go to that world event and you can go do your PvP thing and steal their stuff. So there's a higher chance that the world events will have someone at it that you can then contest. The other piece is with the fact that you don't have to sail to your voyage, you can dive to the voyage and then you have to sail back to deliver your loot. There's also a higher chance that if you see a player sailing out in the world, they probably have loot on them. So for you and me, PvP focused people who want to steal from our fellow players, if you see a ship just sailing, there's probably a good chance there's a higher chance that there's loot on that boat, because they've dove to something, they've picked it up. It's not going to be guaranteed. You're still going to come across some duds where you come up on someone who didn't dive and they enjoy sailing and they're just sailing around and they don't have any loot on them and you're then sad. Sink them anyways, but you're sad. You're sad about it, but you still got to sink them. Now, there's a higher chance that a player that's actually legit sailing and not diving is going to have loot on them. So there's a good chance that you might not be getting a good fight out of it. You might get a good fight out of it, but at least you're going to get to steal something. So on a PvP player side, there is positives here. There is positive. It's increasing your chance not to have good PvP, but it's increasing your chance in order to get something out of the fight, stealing something, being that pirate. Speaking of world events, the Chest of Fortune. The Chest of Fortune has yet again moved. It was originally in the Fort of Fortune. It was moved, and it was in the Fort of the Damned, and now it has moved again. Now, it is in the Skeletal Ship Fleet. Now, it's not in every Skeletal Ship Fleet. Let's be very clear on that. It is on the Fortune Ship Fleet. And you're like, well, Davrim, what is a Fortune Ship Fleet? They've never had that before. You're right. They haven't. It is the same exact event as the Skeletal Fleet, but it's not one you can dive to. So this can appear on any server at any time, just like any world event can. And instead of having the clouds with green lightning in them to signify the ship fleet is up, this will be the same ship cloud, but it'll be red. So you know that the Chest of Fortune is on the captain's ship. Now, you can't dive to it. You do have to legit sail to them, and that means no one's going to, again, pop up because they queued for a ship fleet. Not going to pop up on you, but they're still going to see that red ship cloud in the sky, and ships can still sail up, and you're going to have to defend yourself. But the Chest of Fortune now in the ship fleet, which is very exciting because ship fleet battles with other players and the ship fleet are always a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to going after some Chest of Fortunes in the new Fortune fleet. Yeah, the mechanics of the fleet work the exact same. It's just they changed the cloud and put that loop on there. So let's talk about some other stuff that's happened. Let's talk about the UI UX restructure. So they fully revamped the quest system, the voyage system in the game. The UI for Sea of Thieves, because they've added new stuff in the past 6 years, has gotten a little, I won't say janky, but it's a little hard to navigate. They did their first pass when they revamped the reputation tab, which I love, by the way. You can kind of set up your own little widgets of things that you want to track. It's easier to dive right into it instead of so many menus that you have to click through. And this is another pass at that, but in another system. So this is the voyage system, the world event system, the quest table, if you will, UX redesign. And from the previews that we've seen in videos, I think it looks brilliant. It's organized by trading company. Once you pull it up, it can suggest things based on your play style. It's got a lot of cool features in there. I'm looking forward to diving into it, seeing how it works. But the fact that you can do it all on your ship now and not have to go menu through all the trading company folks is really, really nice. So I think that was a very nice simplified way, again, to help players get what they want and get out there and adventure. Along with the quest table redesign, something that players have been talking about for a while, a prestige system has put into the game. Just like guilds, this system allows that same thing for players. Now, it's a grind for a grind, right? If you want to get your prestige level up, they have increased the level cap of all trading companies except Hunter's Call. Sorry, Merrick, you suck anyways. To 100. So Athena's Fortune, 100. Now, some of you may be like, oh my God, it took me forever to get to 20. It took me forever to get to 10. It took me forever to get to 30, whatever the case may be. They have rebalanced Athena's Fortune so it falls in line with the other trading companies as far as loot and reputation gain. So they have redesigned that. But now you can take all those to 100, and when you get to 100, you reset to 1, but you have a prestige point. The new max cap for reputation is 500. That means you've prestiged 5 times. So 100, 200, 300, 400, and then you'll cap at 500. So that is the new cap. Again, Hunter's Call not included. So it gives you a reason to play. Like maybe you're a level grinder and you want to be max level and you don't care about some of the other achievements. At least now that's something for you to grind out, because for the longest time we've been capped out, and it took them a very long time to increase that cap originally. So this is exciting. At least now if I go out and I only have 30 minutes to play, or maybe I've got 4 hours to play, regardless of what happens in that session, I now can see progress. I can now see some sort of advancement aside from gold, because gold is infinite. But now I can see multiple types of progression during my play session, regardless of how long that it is. And I think that is a very good change, and a change that a lot of the community members have been asking for a while. Now, many more of us have been asking for, well, let's be honest, a prestige system in the plunder pass, where once we hit 100, because you can do that very quickly, getting 101, 102, and keep giving us some currency. That's something people have been asking for, but they have yet to do that. I think it's just because their plunder pass is so easy. The redesign of the voyage system also brings a redesign of the loot that you get. For the longest time, you could go out and, let's say you're going to do a Merchant Alliance voyage or something like that, and you come back with more gold hoarder loot because of the little trinkets and the chests that you find along the way. Then you do Merchant Alliance loot, and it kind of feels bad because you're running the merchant flag and you're like, well, I really wanted merchant loot. Now the voyages and the world events that you select from the quest table will make sure that the majority of the loot is focused on that particular trading company that you selected the voyage or the world event to do out of. So if you selected a fort, a skeletal fort for Merchant Alliance, when you open that vault, the majority of the loot in there is going to be different grades of Merchant Alliance loot. And they've added some new tiers of the loot, and they've rebalanced the amount of money that you're going to get out of the loot. So for the longest time, I've talked about the rebalancing of loot and how their newer loot is worth more and their older loot, why would anyone go and do that kind of stuff? Like a Chest of Legends gives you a decent amount of money, but it doesn't compare to, like, Ashen Windskull, which is easier to get, and things like that. So a rebalancing of this loot, I think, is a very good step in the right direction for Rare and this game, because it makes you feel like, I'm accomplishing something. And I'm getting rewarded appropriately for what I am doing. So I'm excited to see the new loot pieces, the crystal and the marble versions of the chests and things like that. I'm really excited to see that new art, because the concept art that they showed in the video looks very, very cool, and I'm excited to see what that looks like in game. I'm also excited to do voyages again and events again, and seeing a vault full of freaking sugar, like marble or crystallized sugar or whatever. Or a vault full of skulls. Oh, I want to do an Order of Souls skeletal fort and just see a vault full of skulls. That would be really cool. I think that's a screenshot for sure. So, again, really looking forward to that piece. Now, what does this mean for the future? First off, rebalancing, right? Now, I've talked about a lot of stuff in here, and I'm sure many of you who listen to this have watched the deep dive. Many of you I've seen already interacting on the Discord, talking about your thoughts about the season and stuff like that. Here's the thing. Though the people out there who are saying, well, there's no new content in this, you're right. There isn't no new voyages. There's not any new events. There's not any new tall tales or adventures or stories or mysteries or whatever. There isn't. Okay? But that's not the important part. The important part is that Rare has built a new UI. They have redesigned how you get to events. They've redesigned how you explore this world in a way that respects your time, and it sets them up for the future. Now, there's speculation out there, I'm not going to get into it too much, that Sea of Thieves may be coming to PlayStation 5 or Nintendo Switch. There has been a lot of things out there that people say that it's coming to PlayStation, it's coming to Nintendo, with a variety of different games. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, these console giants don't want to play nice together. And to my knowledge, the only game that has been able to do some sort of open crossplay where it pretty much works seamlessly across Xbox and PlayStation specifically is Minecraft. Now, can Sea of Thieves be the second big title that does that? Potentially. But we'll see. This system that they're putting in here is not only good for that concept of bringing new players in from other consoles, but it's also good because it's going to allow new players or returning players that didn't dive too much into Sea of Thieves because they were overwhelmed or because they didn't know what to do. These new systems will give them a new opportunity to fall in love with this game and stick around. So I'm anxious to see, one, how this is executed. I hope it's executed well. And two, what's the impact on the future? It's going to be, 3, 6, 12 months before we really see the impact on this. Can it boost numbers and will it stabilize numbers instead of the roller coaster where a season starts, people complete the season pass, and then they leave? We'll see what this does. We'll see. I'm hoping that it brings new players in and it also stabilizes the game. The second thing that does for the future is it gives Rare more switches. Now, when I say switches, we've seen these with community days, we've seen these with the adventures, we've seen these with the mysteries, where Rare can toggle a switch and something appears in game that wasn't there a second ago, and they can flip the switch and it disappears. So when they popped in mystery stuff, when they popped in adventure stuff, when they do community days, Golden Glory, any of those things, voyages of I'm sorry we screwed up, anything like that, this system now helps them with, because they've added more switches for them to turn things on and off for events and things like that. So I'm excited to see how they're going to use this new, very diverse tool set in their arsenal in order to keep the game exciting and exhilarating for us. Again, we have to see how they execute all this, but look, I'm excited. I haven't been this excited to dive in and play Sea of Thieves at a considerable amount with my very limited time to play games anymore. I'm excited. I'm excited to get back into it really, really deeply, instead of playing like a couple hours a week, more hours a week, instead of having weeks where I don't play at all, instead of struggling to get the season pass done like I have in season 9 and 10 at the end, because I just was not excited to log in and play. I played with my friends. Life, as you all know, was going crazy for me and stuff like that. But now I'm truly excited to jump in and see what this new stuff does, level up, get my prestige points, all that fun stuff. And also rings, rings exist now as a cosmetic option. And as you prestige and as you level up your different trading companies and prestige and all that stuff, ring-a-ling things. So each trading company, again, level 500 max, except for Hunter's Call. As you prestige, you get more rings. You can customize which ring is on which finger and really start to feel like that pirate. I mean, when they released rings in that season pass not too long ago, don't remember which one it was, a lot of people loved them and a lot of people were showing off the rings, but you couldn't customize them. You couldn't move them from fingers. It was basically a glove, right? It was in the glove slot. Now, just like we have the Briggsy mask in the mask slot, we now have a ring slot where you can customize the rings that are on each of your finger and continue to make your pirate and tell his or her story the way you want to do so. So I really am excited about season 11. I know there's going to be a lot of back and forth whether, this is, I don't like this. I like this. I don't like this. I like this. We're always going to have that. But at the end of the day, I'm excited about season 11. I can't wait for this weekend, this Saturday, to dive in again, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, Pirate Talk Radio, or on Twitch, Davrim on Twitch, and play with some friends and really explore season 11. I'm excited. I'm excited. This update, these videos, these previews have really kind of invigorated a spark in me to actually play the game. I love the story of this game. I love watching content. I love making content about this game. But now, once again, I have the spark to really want to sink some time into this game again. So I'm super excited about that. I hope you guys are excited about it. And for those of you who have already had a chance to log in and play Sea of Thieves Season 11, please, in the comments, tell me how it is. Is it buggy as crap? Is it good? Are you having a good time? Are you enjoying some of these fast travel, quote unquote, things? Tell me in the comments of the YouTube video or join the Discord. All the links are in the description of your particular podcasting app or under the YouTube video. And yeah, let me know. let me know. Please drop a like and a subscribe on the YouTube or your favorite podcasting app. I appreciate you guys very much. And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. And I'll see you next time on Pirate Talk Radio.